Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming. As you can see, I just have this set more to draw with than to talk to. But hello and welcome to this Procreate class. I have my friend Stephanie is here with me, and she'll be asking questions live. And then you can also ask questions in the chat. My husband is manning the chat and will tell me if any of you had questions that Stephanie didn't already bring up. If we could just do a little round of hellos of who's here, that would be very nice. If you would be willing to unmute yourself and turn on your video and say hi. If not, that's okay too. And you want to say hello?
Hi Heather, this is Elisa. It says start video, but thank you for doing this. I've been trying to figure out the intricacies of this program for a couple of years, and I give up every time. So I appreciate this.
It's a steep learning curve, I think, but we'll get through it. So cool. Wonderful. Who else is here? So a few other people. There are actually quite, one of them left. I'm also just gonna quickly check email and Instagram messages and make sure no one's like, I'm trying to get in and I can't. Just do that for one quick second. I think really everyone who should have the Zoom link does. Oh, no one is messaging me to say they're
Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. Hi.
Got a phone call. Hi. I'm Joanna. I just curious about what you have with the iPad. I did get your pen, your brush. So I'm anxious to practice, but this is just a hobby. I just do it in the summertime as a hobby.
Great. Thanks for coming. Keep losing people and then come back and okay, we're collecting more people. Is anyone who hasn't introduced themselves interested in doing so?
Your audio is, from me, really muffled sounding, like you're talking about a pillow. I don't know if that is for everyone else.
I hear that too.
Let me check all my connection points. How about now?
Can you talk some more?
I am talking. Am I clear? This is me.
I hear you. It just sounds still kind of like marble, but I can understand you.
Is it better if I'm like this?
No, it's the same.
This is as good as it's gonna get.
Okay.
So that is unfortunate, but I had to get an external mic because if I use the internal mic on the iPad, all you heard was touching the iPad, tapping and scraping. So this is, I guarantee, better than that.
Sure.
All right. So, okay, starting to collect people who said they were coming. Not everyone is here yet, but we're almost 5 minutes in, so I think we should get started. I'm going to start to share my screen so you can see Procreate and get that going. And it didn't quite there yet. Let's broadcast in 3, 2, 1. Can you see my screen?
Sure can.
Yep.
Great. So, I guess we'll do the official beginning of this class. So we're going to go through how to do Henna style designs on Procreate. And we're going to start off with just how to import the brushes, because I know that's like a basic first step for people. And then we will go through how to use them, how to do layers, create videos of what you're doing, all sorts of things. And then we'll also have tons of questions at the end. If you have questions as we're going, you can put them in the chat. I have my friend Stephanie here, and she is going to also ask questions live. So if you had some that she didn't end up asking, we'll refer to the chat and make sure that we answer those too. So what you're seeing right now is just everything I've done in Procreate for the last like couple years since I had it. But what I wanted to show you first, hold on one second. What? Can you all see my screen? My tech person says he cannot.
Nope.
Fun. Okay. Great. Start broadcast. Three,
Hi
two.
guys, I can't turn my video on, but it's okay.
Okay. Technical difficulties. Welcome to my first class I've ever done over Zoom by myself.
Of with someone else hosting. But now, hopefully you can see my screen now.
Sound is so much better all of a
It
sudden.
looks like just a bunch of icons, and now you see a bunch of drawings.
Yep.
Now I can't hear you. Is anybody speaking?
I was saying your audio's all of a sudden better, and I can see what you're doing. Can you hear me?
Just one moment.
My mess.
Oh, my headphones are reconnecting. Thanks for coming. We're going to learn Procreate. It will be great. We just have to get everything.
There we go. Someone say something.
So, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can
You know
you
what
see
really
my
sucks? Whenever you can't hear us, you sound perfectly clear and
Yeah.
completely understandable. Yes.
Mm,
Now
but
you
now,
it sounds like you're talking like this. It sounds like you're really muffled.
so you have two options for audio. This is the external mic. This is me tapping and drawing on the iPad as I have the external mic. This is me unplugging the external mic. Now I bet you hear me better, but you're going to hear a lot of stuff as I draw.
It doesn't bother me to hear you tapping, but you're not any clearer.
Well,
There was some point at which you were really clear all of a sudden.
I can't hear you right now.
That's
That's
Cool.
really clear.
when you're clear.
Mhm. Hi, Desi.
all right. I can hear you.
Hey.
And at this point,
God.
it is what it is. We're going to get back to. It says you can see my screen right now. Is this
Yes,
true?
we can see the screen.
Okay. Super. Let's learn Procreate. All right. So just quickly, how to download brushes and install them. If you were getting the brush, if you were getting this particular Henna cone brush from me that I use the most, it would be coming from Artistic Adornment. You would click on, use this. Once you downloaded things, you would have a screen that shows everything you thought, and then you would click on this link. Once you click on this link, it actually goes straight to Procreate as long as you have downloaded it onto your iPad. So it just opens, and then as soon as it opens, what you see right away is just a list of your brushes, including your most recent one. And it says Henna cone. So let's just have some screen, any screen up as we start to play with what it looks like a little bit. So if you, in my list of possible things, you see things like Henna cone, but it has a weird tail, grass Henna cone. There's been quite a few versions of this, but the official and done version that everyone has is this one here. So you just click on the brush that you're looking for, which in your case is it's just going to say Henna cone. And let's just play with some of the options of how this brush actually works. So the whole reason the brush exists is to be able to give kind of a henna-esque line while drawing with the Apple Pencil in Procreate, so that it's got that trailing off and like thickening and decreasing of line width with the pressure. It's not 100% the same as a henna cone, but it's pretty close. So if you just start to make some squiggles with it, you will notice that if you use even pressure, the line width is pretty even. But when you use light pressure, it's much smaller. And then the harder you push down, the thicker the line gets. If you're not noticing much of a difference in the line width, which is something I am observing next to me right now is Stephanie, what you can do is over here on size, if you push the size to be higher, then you'll notice a bigger difference between the small and the big as you draw. If you go way to the top, you'll be able to get more of a difference. The higher of a screen resolution that you have, the less difference you're going to see in the variety of the size. So, but this is the size that it is intended to, at high resolution, be about as thick as you would ever realistically cut a henna cone thick. So just doodle a little bit. Try doing some swirls, and just get a feel for how the brush is working. You don't have to draw any masterpieces right now, and I certainly won't either while somewhat nervous just teaching you. But if you do some of the things that you, as your go-to things in henna, and feel the Apple Pencil having more and less pressure as you draw, you should start to see that variation in thin and thick lines. If you don't have this brush yet, I'm sorry if this part is a little not fun for you, but when you review this video, you'll be able to do this live with us. So just like you would kind of increase and decrease your pressure, instead of squeezing more and less with the henna cone, it's pressing more and less with the tip of the Apple Pencil. And just keep drawing a little something. And this, it does take some practice, like anything, to get used to using a new tool. But I think that you'll find that after an afternoon or an evening of playing around with it, you'll start to really get a feel for it, and it will start to feel not 100% as natural as a henna cone if you've been using that for years and years, but it will start to feel like you've got a flow to it. So right now I'm just going in like very light to do some little shading. Just like I would tend to do in my henna flowers. Add some swirls. It gets smaller as I go in towards the center. And now, here's how I do the leaves. Kind of you know how you would squeeze very hard to make a circle? Instead, kind of like make a circle a little bit with your, it's hard to talk and do it. Let me show you a leaf happening. So if it's at the end of the line, you kind of make a little circle and then pull the tail away from it. Stephanie has a question. Perhaps you have a similar question. So what if you wanted to make a perfect circle? If you wanted to make a perfect circle, so that one of the things you just saw happening by accident of it making my arc more perfect than I intended it is a way that you would also make a perfect circle. So what Procreate does is it will, if you hold the pencil in place after you draw things, it just kind of pops it into what it thinks you meant to do. So like if I do a kind of straight line and I hold it down, it's like, did you mean that? And it will straighten it for you, which is really good when what you want is some kind of very perfect shape, but it's kind of not great when you're trying to do a swirl and then you hold it too long and it's like, did you mean this line? No, I did not mean that line. And in that case, use the back button that's on the left over here, on the left sliding bar area where there's a undo and a redo. Just undo it. Undo and redo, going back and forth between that. Stephanie's mind is blown, she says, and hopefully that was helpful for you too. So I want to kind of discourage you from doing that too much, because you'll lose the henna-esque feel of your drawing. And as someone who does some henna, you definitely have skills to make things look both organic and really neat. Unlike everyone else using Procreate to draw stuff. I mean, not everyone else, but a lot of people. Like, you have your actual hand. I'm starting a new page because it's getting to be very ugly to me. So I'm just going to start on another template here as I keep showing you more things. So I guess I should discuss how I loaded these templates before just diving into using them. So what I did is, if you look on the screen we're on right now, look in the upper right, you will see select import photo. You would select photo here, and then what it will show you is all the images on your camera roll and all the images you've saved to your iPad recently, any screenshots you've done. So just save the files for the templates that you need, and then they will be here. And then you choose them from this list. I'm going to choose the hand drawing for some reason. And now this is here waiting for me to draw on it. If you look, now one thing that's missing is my ability to point to things and also do them. So I'm going to describe. What we need to do now that we've imported something to draw on is go to the layers button, the layers menu, which is up in the upper right. It's two squares on top of each other. So there, that just became blue, so you can see. It's so important that you add new layers by hitting the plus sign whenever you want to draw something, because otherwise you're drawing directly onto your template or your photo. And if I did that, observe what happens. So I'm going to draw, whoa. So this is a very low, you know how I said this would be wider, the lower resolution your image was. This is a very low image resolution for this particular photo that I have. If you see that happening, it is a sign that that is way too low. That's because it's something I just downloaded randomly off the internet and then traced around to make a template. But which is fine, because I did put it into a higher resolution file and then drew that. Anyway, we're kind of getting into the weeds. This is way too big is really the main point. But so we will bring it down or realize that that's terrible and go increase the resolution. As you can see, that's anyway, the point is, if I want to erase what I just drew, I go to my eraser, I start erasing. Oh no, my template is also gone, or my photo that I'm trying to draw on is gone. So if we undo all that and we go to this new layer that we had made, I'll make another one just for fun, and we make a point to draw once the new layer is created, then when we go to erase, we're only erasing what we just drew instead of the template or whatever that we're adding to. So layers are really important. If you've ever used Photoshop, then you're somewhat familiar with them. If you haven't yet used some other kind of graphic program that has layers, just add a new layer anytime you're about to do a new step, because it will save you a lot of grief. Now, you absolutely will have many a time where you forget and you draw on the thing and you do a lot of work, and then you go to erase something and you didn't realize that you didn't do a new layer. You will be frustrated, but you will learn and you will remember to do the layers the next time. So you can just go back to the point before you drew all over the wrong layer, and then pick the right layer and proceed with doing it again. So now we have talked about adding layers, but I mentioned screen resolution, and that's a really important thing. So we're going to go back to the main screen here, to the by clicking gallery, we see all of our past files. And what we're going to do is hit the plus sign. You have all of these options for, yeah, actually I'm looking, it's very convenient that Stephanie is here. You have a much shorter list of options than I currently have of screen size, square, 4K, A4, 4x6 photo, paper, comic. Face paint is apparently a new template thing that you made, a new canvas size. But so you've got this set of things. I highly, highly, highly recommend that you make these top 3 that I made: high res wide, high res vertical, and high res square. So that what you have there is the highest reasonable resolution, what I've found to be the best resolution, while also being able to add a few different layers. The reason that you always want to draw in the highest resolution you reasonably can is because that's going to enable you to use the image in lots of different ways. So if you want to use this drawing you do as a banner in the back of your Henna booth, you could possibly do that and have it be at a large size without getting all pixely and weird. Or if you wanted to do even just a t-shirt or something, if you drew it on screen size and it only took up half your screen, now you want to use it on a t-shirt, it needs to be at a higher resolution so that it looks good when you blow it up. Question? What is higher resolution? Why am I talking graphic design person nonsense? Basically, where it says 5,500 by 4,000 pixels, that's like actually counting how many little dots of information there are in your image. So if it said like 200 by 200 pixels, you would only have, a limited number of little things you could draw. Everything would look really pixelated and chunky and blobby. Higher resolution makes everything look smooth. So, and how would you do that? Thank you. You would use this little plus sign on that screen, just to show you again at the upper right there. So you are going to touch where it says untitled canvas and be a little annoyed. If you touch it with your finger instead of your Apple Pencil, it'll bring up the keyboard much better. And name it something like high res square. Yeah, go ahead, high res square. So it starts at like 800 pixels with 400 layers. That's just not the life we're living. Like, we don't need 400 layers. There's a balance between layers and size. Your iPad can only do so much. So what we really want is, we want it as big as it reasonably will let us. And it's been a minute since I played with this, but I ideally want it to be 5,000 by 5,000. That's only 6 layers. That's not terrible. You could play around with it a little bit and say, okay, what if it was 4,500 by 40 or 45? Yeah, 100. And then you get 9 layers. That's pretty good. You decide what the right balance is for you, but just hit create, and then it will show up in that list for you. And now you have a thing. And that leads us into having this high res square. If you were following along, leads us to our next thing, which is fun. This is just the most fun. You will lose hours in what I'm about to show you, which is how to do mandalas in a way that looks really beautiful, and it's easy and it's wonderful. So you are going to hit the little wrench and go to Canvas. I'm going to go to Drawing Guide and put it on. I'm going to go to Edit Drawing Guide right underneath. So here in the bottom right, you'll see it says Assisted Drawing. I'm going to turn that on. And then you will go to Symmetry on the right list there, and then Options. And now you choose which kind of symmetry you want. But to do a really beautiful mandala, you could do a very simple one with a quadrant, or a complex one with a radial. So let's do radial for a minute. And for right now, we're going to turn on rotational symmetry. We'll look at the difference between what that is with it on and off. So hit done. Oops. I accidentally made my drawing guide white, which is not helpful. So if you look at this top rainbow bar that's there when you do drawing guides, you can pick the color. Unfortunately, done and white are right next to each other, but there we go, kind of pink. So see how I have the brush way big like before, but now when I draw, ooh, hold on. Something? Oh. I'm like, why is nothing drawing? It's because I had it on the eraser. That's why. So make sure you're on the right tool, because if you're on the eraser and you draw it, nothing will show up. But if you put your brush on, so what you can do now is start drawing, and it mirrors everything you're doing. So you can create a mandala with like very little effort that makes beautiful symmetry right off the bat. So it is pretty fun to play with. So for these first few steps, I've been showing you just within the same little section, but even if you go over into the next section, like I just did with that swirl, it's fine. You don't have to stay firmly within those lines that show up on the drawing guide. That's just showing you, like, each block will get repeated, but you can go past the lines and it's no big deal. You'll get a more dynamic looking thing perhaps if you do that. This is not intended to be a beautiful mandala that I'm going to share with people after the class. I'm just showing you kind of how it works. So try doing some little leaves that like trail off in the way that this virtual henna cone brush was made to do. Ooh, if you see what happened right there, I held it down too long and it said, do you mean the straight line? No Procreate. I did not mean that straight line. I was just going too slow because I was talking. We just hit undo and move on. So that's that. One other thing to play with while we're here is I want to talk about opacity for this slider. We talked a little bit about the size slider, but let's also talk about the opacity slider. When you bring it down, it just does exactly that. It makes it less opaque, more transparent. So if you look at that line, you can see underneath to the line below it. And the lower I put the opacity, the lighter the line is, and the more you can see what's behind it. And if you ever are using your tool and you're drawing and nothing's showing up, you check it's not on the eraser, it's on the brush. Chances are you have the opacity down to almost nothing. I'm drawing on the screen, but you can't see it because the opacity is almost nothing. So just bring that back up. And if you are trying to draw henna-ish things, I highly recommend making sure that that's up at 100. Unless you're trying to do shading in a very particular kind of way. And there's intentionality behind why you're not doing it 100% opaque. It's very easy to accidentally have it at like 92 or something. And then when you do look really close in at where you did that, they're different colors and you didn't realize it until it's too late. And then you are a little sad and it's a little hard to fix. So there's that. Let's see. We're going to start a new screen again. I am, just because, and maybe you are too, maybe you're getting pretty doodly. And then, is this the square we just made? I'm not sure if we saved our new, yeah. So the newest one that you made will be at the bottom of the list when you go to gallery and plus, I'm going to use another high-res square just to keep going. And if you look, oh no, we're not doing that full radial grid thing anymore. Oops. So let's go back to it just because it's more fun. Turn on the drawing guide, edit drawing guide. Hold on 1 minute. What? Okay, I hear we have questions. Let's address your questions that my hopeful husband has pointed out that you guys have. All right, so how do we make those? What are those?
You already answered it. It was the additional screens that were the high res screen.
Okay, good. Okay, great. Okay, cool. So let's do another one of these drawing guides. Let's just start from the beginning, pretend we didn't just get interrupted right now. This is off. So we come in, we go to this, we go turn on drawing guide, edit drawing guide, assisted drawing on in the lower right hand corner, symmetry in the right, options, radial, and you can choose whether you have rotational symmetry on or off. If someone's going to turn it off. Look, it did that again. I do that often where I make the drawing guide light by accident. But if you notice you did that, you just come in and edit it. All right. So I'm going to show you more things. So let's say I drew this very beautiful mandala. So right now I don't have rotational symmetry on. So what it's doing is it's just behaving in a slightly different way that my brain cannot comprehend how to explain to you right now. You've still got 8 sections, but they're mirrored in a slightly different way. And you can play with that over here. Rotational symmetry on is usually what I prefer because that makes it be the same in every one of these.
It's quadrant symmetry versus ratio. It's quadrant symmetry. So when you have it on the thing, I don't know if I can. No. There we go. Like, and then I draw the line like that. It's going from the one quadrant. So it's not rotating around. It's only going with the mirrored quadrant.
Correct.
That's the difference.
So I can't see your screen right now, but I believe that. But that's still slightly different from if you were to use quadrant symmetry. For example, so if we just put it on that instead, then it is each of these quadrants. Let's exactly the same, and just the centers are different, basically. So what I wanted to show you by making this very beautiful other mandala is a little bit about color, because we've just been focusing on line and just how Procreate works, but your colors that it comes with by default are these, I believe. If Stephanie could just bring hers up too. So you've got a bunch of different ways of looking at your available options. The disc is one, classic, harmony, value, palettes, those are all across the bottom there. I really enjoy palettes. So I have created a bunch of different palettes to use, but this is the default view usually is the colors. So I think we can get into creating palettes at the end if somehow we went into everything else and we've just done everything you wanted to learn. Then we can talk about palettes. But for now, we can use this easier color picker where you just pick where in the rainbow do you want it to be, what level of saturation and brightness you want it to be, pick your color and go. So I'm going to pick a blue, a pretty dark blue. And so now when I draw, it's going to be in that color. And what I wanted to do was take this line that's maroon, henna-ish, and turn it blue. What I just did, you can see, but you couldn't see me touching it, is hold the Apple Pencil down on the, actually don't hold it very long, just kind of drag the color from that upper window up to the line, and it will change the color. And so if you saw that happening just now, you might have noticed some things. This line is not totally the same as this line. Also, I'm not at 100%. So it doesn't look great overall. This opacity is important. But what I had done is I did that, but I didn't slide it all the way over to the right with my hand. I'm going to go back a few steps. I'm doing all that recoloring and drawing to show you stuff. And so let's do it again where we drag the new color we picked onto the line. If you now, still holding your pencil, pull it over to the right. Oh, I didn't do exactly what I hoped. There was not as huge of a difference because the lines I had all touched each other. But if the lines I had didn't all touch each other, what would happen? What we need is a few different lines that don't all connect but are the same color. And then we go to our new color, we drop the color, and we can control how many of those different things change color at the same time by sliding to the right and sliding to the left. Slide to the right and everything becomes that new color. Slide to the left and only the exact part of line that you just were putting the new spot of color on has changed. Basically, more things become recolored the further you drag over to the right. But if you accidentally pick up your pencil, you're going to end up drawing more. Like that just was. So play with that a little bit for a second. Try recoloring things. Also, I just did something and didn't talk to you about it. I didn't talk to you about it at all. I just zoomed in and zoomed out. So let's talk about how you do that. So with your fingers, your thumb and your forefinger, put both fingers on your screen and now pinch them together. And now spread them apart and then pinch them together, spread them apart, pinch them together, kind of rotate them to rotate your screen. And that
Hello. I think you're gone.
She abandoned us. Oh
She's still there.
Do you guys know if she's sharing this video?
I know she's recording it, but I don't know what she's doing with the recording.
Okay. It's just, it doesn't help because I'm watching on my iPad. I don't have my computer, so I can't play, but that's okay.
Hey, we're back. So I'm not sure what even happened there, but here we are broadcasting the screen again.
Oh, she's back.
Okay, so we are broadcasting the screen again. We are back. You can hear me now?
Can hear you.
Okay,
Heather, can I just ask, will you share this recording? It's just because it's so fast and I'm not able to grasp everything. So
Okay, yeah. Also, yeah, I will share the recording with everyone who is here and or has donated. And then for other folks, will make it available in a different way. But everyone who's here absolutely can have the recording.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's just so fast. Yeah.
Like, I want to cover everything.
Yeah.
Like, if we had all day to sit and learn Procreate together, then like we could do and redo all the things live and in a way you could absorb it. But I kind of want to, I'm basically brain dumping to you all at once so you can learn everything, come back and review at your leisure. So I just want to give you everything that you need to successfully draw henna designs in Procreate. It's going to take some practice, and yeah, it's probably going to take some reviewing. Yes, for sure. All right, so where were we? We were on zooming in and out, right? So that is something that maybe it takes a little practice to get, but thumb and forefinger both touching the screen at the same time, and then pinch in, pinch out to zoom in and out. And what that's important for is because if it's really small like this, and then I try to drag the color to that little dot, oh, it didn't work. I just colored the whole background, and that's kind of hard. And even if I zoom in to this degree, like actually hitting that line is pretty tough sometimes if you're doing the fine kind of work that us kind of artists are inclined to do. So if you zoom in really close, then you can make sure you hit your target for what you're trying to recolor. All right.
Excuse
yeah.
me, I'm the only one who's not able to see the screen. I just see the icons.
Oh. Ooh. Can others see my screen? I feel like it is sharing.
Okay, let me just go out. I'm
And
gonna go out. Come
Go
back.
out and come back. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Thank you.
So let's see. What else do we need to do? I'm looking at my list of things I had to make sure that I absolutely tell you.
You're in the,
Yep.
once you're in the quadrant, can you flip back to the radial? Or you have
You
to
can,
bring a whole new one in?
yeah, you can change the drawing guide as many times as you want within the same thing. So now I'm radial again.
How do you get the drawing guide back up?
So the same way, so you go to this little tool, the wrench, and then edit drawing guide,
Edit drawing guide. Okay.
and then options. And there it is. So we're on radial now. See, it wants to give me a white drawing guide because I didn't hit exactly the right spot. I'm gonna zoom in so I can kind of see it more or less full screen. So now I'm back to the radial. So now it's going in every space. Wow, this is a really beautiful drawing that I'm making. But now you can see that it's working. If you hate what you're drawing, or you just playing around, instead of making a whole bunch of new files to show you, what I'm actually going to do is just make a new layer and then hide the other layer, hide the ugly thing that I don't like. And this is how you make a layer visible or not visible, this little check mark. So let's hide that, and then let's try to make something that's actually a little nice. Oh, so my drawing guide is not on right now. It is not working. And that is because I made a new layer. I have to turn the drawing guide on this layer. It looks like it was on, but it is lying to you. So because assisted drawing was not on, we have to turn assisted drawing on, and it does not automatically do that when you have a new layer. So that is something that you won't accidentally get wrong. Take a look at it and go, hey, that's not working, and then you'll fix it. I'm just gonna erase what I did, because if I undo too much, it actually will undo me making the drawing guide setting. So just erase, erase, erase. And now the drawing guide is on. And here's working. When I said I'm going to make something a little nice this time, I mean it. It's going to be a little nice, but not super great. So here I have, this is layer 1 of my drawing. I'm going to make another layer. And this time I'm going to do things that go.
Recording in progress.
Oh, hello person just coming back. All right, so when I made that new layer already, you can realize that it didn't fit the assisted drawing out. Please, if you could turn off your audio, your mic, person here. Yeah. Whoever just came back, just mute yourself, please. Okay, hopefully that's good. All right, so we just go to options, we go to assisted drawing on again. Everything was the same, but we just have to actively see assisted drawing. So now it should work. We're drawing a little eighth of this again. And now I'm just gonna, for no real reason, do something that cuts through the other layers that I made before. Like it's overlapping. Actually, this would be easier for you to see if I did it in a different color. So for the sake of that. But you should do this even if you're not using a different color. I don't know why I gave up completely on making it sort of nice. Okay, that's a little better. And then that's going to come through and overlap that. So let's say I hate parts of this, but not so much that I want to undo it. I can go to my erase tool and just erase bits of the purple because they're on a new layer, but the blue is still there because it's underneath. So this is how you can get in and tweak really fine things about what you've drawn. You not have to worry about experimenting and seeing and trying new things, because you can always just decide you hate that layer and turn it off, and now it's not there. Or another thing you can do, if you know you love this layer, like this is the final drawing of this layer, I am satisfied. There's no other little things I want to tweak anymore, because we only had 6 or 9 or whatever layers because of the high resolution. You can click or touch on that layer with your pencil, and then at the bottom of this list, you'll see merge down. Now those 2 layers are combined. So if you went to erase, it would erase through both colors, but you can keep adding more layers and it will be okay. One thing that is really helpful to know is when you want to do that, a useful thing, if you're not 100% sure that you really are committed to these layers, you might want to go back to your gallery, select, pick the thing you just made, and hit duplicate in the upper right over here. And by hitting duplicate, now you have 2 of these. So if you hate what you do to one, it doesn't matter. You can go back to the other original version. You do have to hit this X in the upper right to get out of that that select screen kind of mode. But here you could do things to this one, and then if you hate them, go back to the other version. What was your question? How do you duplicate again? Okay, let's just do that again quickly. we're going to go to the upper right where it says what's new, select import photo plus. Go to select, pick the thing you want to double, make it have a little blue check mark, and then duplicate is in the middle of that bar of options in the upper right. So now you have two. And you have to hit the X, get out of that, and then touch on it to open it. All right. So that's that. So another thing that is something we wanted to talk about is how to export things. I'm going to pick a drawing that I did before that's actually good, so you don't only have terrible squiggles as representations of my work, because that would make me happier. So let's go with this one. So let's say I come in to work on this, and I want to add stuff. My first inclination is add a layer and start drawing. As you can see, then it doesn't do the assisted drawing bit. So we're just gonna, it was on quadrant instead of radial. Yeah, something about it went weird, but we just play with those options until they're matching. Up again. And now when I do a dot here, it does it everywhere. So I make whatever changes I'm going to make. I obviously color it far more carefully than this. I have this new beautiful drawing. And let's say this is now great. I love it. I've made these changes. If I want to take this drawing and share it with the world, what you're going to do is select again, make it have a blue check mark again, and then go to share. And you choose your format that you want. So the thing you're going to want to pick these based on the end use you have for this image. The three that I suggest you're going to use the most are JPEG, JPEG, PNG, and TIFF. So JPEGs are mostly for, like, that's your default, basically. It's a smallish file size, so especially if you're putting it on the web. JPEG is going to be good. PNG, if you've had transparency in your image, is the only way to maintain that transparency. Say you do a watermark, then if you saved it as a PNG, it would still be transparent in the background. And then when you watermark your photos with it, it will just be the lines you drew instead of like white background, if that makes sense. If there's any transparency in the image, you want PNG. And then TIFF is really if this is a file that's going to be printed to like a professional printer, probably beyond the level of fanciness that you have the ability to do at your home. A TIFF is going to be the highest quality, yet universally accessible kind of file. That is a raster image. I'm not going to get into raster versus vector too much, but do just want to say that Procreate is always creating raster images, which is you drawing pixels on a screen. So if whatever you're drawing is what exists, the computer cannot automatically smooth it out for you the way you can if you were to have a vector drawing. But vector drawings often look very computer generated, because they basically are. You tell the computer, here are these two dots, now do this degree of curve between them, and it records like a bunch of math instead of which pixels you drew. That is a whole different form. But Procreate is for actual hand drawing and making raster images. So anyway, TIFF is the best version of a raster image that is widely accessible. The other options you have on this list are Procreate. So if you just want to share the file as it exists that you were just drawing with someone else who also has Procreate, and you want them to be able to access all the layers and stuff about it, you might want to share in Procreate, but that's going to be pretty uncommon. And then the next one is PSD, which is a Photoshop file. So if you wanted to take something that you did on your iPad but tweak it on your computer, that is going to be a common thing to do. And the last one is a PDF, which if you're making things that are intended to read like as actual pages usually, then that's sometimes something you would use. Yes, question. So is that something you would use when you're creating your festival book? So when you're creating your festival book, I would pick JPEG still. So here are the two choices. If you're making a festival book, either you could make a PDF if you've laid the page out the way you want it to be in Procreate, like you multiple designs on one page or whatever you're going to do are all on the same page. Page looks good, 8.5 by 11, good to go. You drew it on an 8.5 by 11 canvas, etc. Maybe you do PDF. You lose less file quality with the PDF, so that is a reason to do it. But if you save it as a JPEG, that will allow you to lay it out like on your main computer and move things around more freely, I guess. Personally, I'm inclined to save them as JPEG because I use Adobe InDesign to lay out all my pages, but that's uncommon. So maybe if you're doing all your festival page layout, maybe you put PDF. Anyway, it's a choice about whether you're making the final thing in Procreate or you're making something that's easily move aroundable afterwards. Yeah, go for it. So say you have 2 or 3 different designs that you've created. You have 2 or 3 different designs that you've created. Can you take one and merge it into another so you can put 2 together? Yeah. So let's do that. So I'm going to X out of this sharing thing. Let's say, yeah, so I have this blank thing. And what I want to do is under this menu, go to add, and then go to insert a file or photo. If I go to insert a file, that's nonsense. It's not actually what I'm looking for. If I go to insert a photo, it shows me everything I've saved to my camera roll. So everything that I have shared from the gallery and saved as a JPEG or a what have you shows up here. So actually, I'm rethinking what I told you. Yeah, the same thing I said before. If you saved it as a JPEG, then it will become just the drawing by itself. And then you can add it to this page however you want. And you can keep adding more. Insert another photo. I'm also going to have this arm here for some reason. And you can just move them around as you want. And they all show up on different layers. And then when you have already put them in, now I have my drawing tool, right? Like that's not super helpful. It wasn't drawing because I'm drawing on this layer and this one's sitting on top of it. So that is one thing that happens. If you have designs that have a white background, you could not really get to see what it is you're doing unless you make a layer and put over them. But anyway, my actual point that I thought I was making is I can't move this around with the way that I'm interacting with it. Like I want to make this bigger, smaller, move it left or right or whatever, but I can't. So I'm going to erase all this excess stuff. What I'm going to hit is this arrow. So which layer is it on? It's on the Ohm layer. So if I hit this arrow, that is only selecting the thing I inserted on that layer. I can drag it to be bigger or smaller from the corners. I can use this little green circle, green dot to rotate it around. I can use the menu bar that's at the bottom to flip it horizontally, flip it vertically, rotate it just 45 degrees, make it the size of the whole canvas. So I'm gonna make it small again, flip it. And then the one thing you can't, no, you can. You just put your pencil in the middle to move it around. So say I want to do that, but with the other image, I switch to the layer that it's on, and then I hit the arrow, and then I'm able to do all the same stuff to that one. So you could lay out a page nicely with all the different designs that you wanted to add. So in that case, you will have saved them as JPEGs, or maybe if you're feeling fancy, PNGs, so that you don't get this white background stuff happening. But another thing you can do when you do get this annoying white background thing happening is just erase it. Just go to your eraser tool and erase the white background in the places where it's relevant so you can see what was under it. That's just kind of like an easy cheat thing to know. What else do we need to do? So if you had laid that out, just to review, you laid it out on the page. It's a beautiful page. It's exactly as you wanted it. You hit select, and then select the one that you thought was beautiful, share, and in this case, you probably are wanting to share as a PDF to be an actual printable page. All right. We have 28 minutes left of this class. There were just a few other things I wanted to share. You have a question? What's your question? Speak up.
Okay, so say you are working on a mandala
Yes,
and
sure.
you want to take like one of the elements, like you want it to be absolutely perfect and you want to highlight, like you want to take like the teardrops on your screen.
Yes. What about them?
With the 3 dots. Say you want to take that and you want to copy that and paste it all around.
Oh, because you did it so nice.
Yeah.
So that is what these at the top here. You need this selection tool, this S. So you no, you click freehand. You clear the selection if you mess up, and then you pick freehand, and then draw around. You're going to draw way more carefully at exactly the edges of where those teardrops are, and then you're going to copy paste. You put it on a new layer of just that, and then you can actually, if you really were, so you can basically copy that and then use the arrow to make it bigger, make it smaller, move it where you want to move it, rotate it because it would look better like this over here, and whatever you need to do. One thing you should know is you cannot make it really big and have it still look good. The edges will get all fuzzy.
But creates new layer every single time. So you'd have
It
to merge
does. So it's exactly. So if you wanted to make a whole bunch of these, then I would recommend, I don't know, you just, if it really is a mandala, you just try having this assisted drawing on and just keep trying to redraw that thing and erase it and redraw it again, because it's way easier to assisted drawing copy paste it a million times than physically make the copies. But if you wanted to, you could just do a new selection. Now you just want this, copy paste, and you can keep doing that and move them all around and have as many of them as you want. But eventually, once you've got a bunch of them, you've got too many layers. So you just merge down, merge down. So now that layer, it's all one layer now. You wait until you're really happy with it to do that. So the other thing that I know is really helpful to know about this, I'm going to undo everything because I'm ruining my original files when I'm doing this by showing you these things. If I exited out and forgot to undo everything, my file would be not good. It would have all that extra stuff that I just drew on it. In fact, can I undo? Yes, there. Undo all the way until how it originally was before I go back to gallery. Because if I drew on it and then I went back to gallery, it automatically saves every time. So if you hated what you did, too bad. It is there now. So that's important to know. But don't be scared. It'll be fine. If you mess up a few times, you'll learn to not do that again. But the other thing that is important to know, we talked about how to save images as useful file names. But one of the other things you can do with the share menu, we didn't actually go through the process. We're going to share as a JPEG, but then what do we do with it? So two most useful things you can do with it, I would argue, are save image at the top of this list here. And if you do that, it says export successful, and now it just lives in your camera roll with all your other photos. And then the other thing you could pick from share with JPEG. The other thing I do all the time is I will share to Google Drive so that I can then access it on all my other devices. If you don't have Google Drive installed, you might want to get it. It won't show up in your list of options unless you have it. And you could share it. You also could share it straight to Instagram if that's something you wanted to do. So the share menu is how you get stuff done and actually share it with the world. And what else? I'm sure there was another thing I wanted to tell you about, but yeah. Okay. The other thing I wanted to tell you about is how to make videos. So how you make videos is it automatically makes it for you. You don't have to do anything. There's already a video. Open any file that you've created in Procreate and go to this little wrench, go to video, and then if you go to time-lapse replay, it will show you the process of you drawing this thing from beginning to end. It's fast. Time-lapse replay. So if you look at the beginning of that, there are questions. I will look at them in a second. If you look at that again, let's just watch that time-lapse replay and how it was not great at the beginning. I picked like 3 or 8 different ways to do that heart at the beginning. So if you know that that's happening while you're doing it, if you're like, I just did like 8 hearts, and if I have the time lapse, it's gonna suck. You can, you could edit the video so that it just starts later when you decide to share the video. Or a tricky trick would be if you export this image, select this. When I say export, I mean share. Everything else other than Procreate, we call it export. I'm going to share it as a JPEG. I'm going to save the image here. Once you get to that first part down, save it at that point, and then start a new file, and then add that photo here. And this wasn't showing you, but if I had saved it at the point where I only had a heart. That was my intention. I only have the heart. It starts off with that heart looking good. And then you draw on it. Do whatever you're going to do. And if you do that, then your video, oh, that went very quickly because there's almost nothing to it. Yeah, it went really fast. If there were more, it would have shown you that it started with the file that I imported first instead of showing all those beginning, I don't know what I'm doing steps. And if you have done enough things in Procreate and watched other artists do things, you will realize how many people cheat and do that and start their image like that kind of way. It's interesting. To just make it look like you got it right from the very beginning. So that's interesting. The other thing to share, I can't really, I don't think I can share with you on my screen, but I don't have the Cam Scanner app on my iPad, but I use it all the time on my phone. I'm going to just bring it up on the Play Store so you can, App Store, so you can see what it is I'm about to suggest that you get. This app is called Cam Scanner. And one of the questions that came in before class started was, well, what if I want to take a drawing that I already did and I want to like work on it more in Procreate? The easiest, you could scan it on like a flatbed scanner if you have that, or you can bring it to someone who does, great. But this is also very good. This Cam Scanner app, this one with the CS and the turquoise line underneath, that is very good. I am suspicious of this HD one and all these other ones. You always want to look at the number of downloads. So 908K downloads shows you like that's been there a long time. That's a legit one. This one that has, or not downloads, 908K reviews. So way more downloads, whereas the other one has 58 reviews. And like, I feel like that is, it might be legit, but it might be there to trick you into going, oh, I want the HD version, and now you have malware and viruses. It's very possible. It's also possible that it's legit. You could do a bunch of research and decide that. But anyway, as a rule for your life, try the one with tons of reviews first. So what the Cam Scanner app does is you just point your phone or iPad at, yeah, you have an iPad, so get it on your iPad and point your iPad at your drawing that you just did, and just take a picture of it, and then it has tools to tweak it and make the line work like crisper, and then add it as a photo in Procreate and work on it accordingly. So that was just a question that came up. I wanted to address it. Okay, other questions that have come up in these last 17 minutes that we have. Will you show how to do henna designs inside the hand template, please? Yes, I feel like I sort of showed you that, but I just did terrible doodles that were no good. So I will now demonstrate the actual thing that we actually all want to do the most, other than draw mandalas, which is draw designs for our design book in a purposeful, intentional way, making actually good things. So I'm going to go to one of my templates and hit select. I am going to pick it, and then I'm going to pick duplicate because I don't want to draw my main template. I want to keep a blank template for sure. So now that I have this duplicate, I'm going to work on it. I'm going to start with a new layer. Interesting. So I actually have the two different hands on two different layers. Since I know that like this is what I wanted, I'm going to merge it so that they're both on one layer because I need all of the space I can get. So I go back and forth between drawing in black or trying to draw in a henna-esque color. But realistically, I usually draw in black because my end game is to print these out for my book, which I am never going to do in color because I am not a millionaire. I print like 70 pages times 12 copies at $1 a page, I would go broke. So, but at like 5 cents a page, it's fine. So I do everything in black and white for my book. So we did a new layer. No, we didn't get to the new layer. New layer, very important. Because again, I'll undo the new layer and remind you how not doing a new layer would be terrible. We draw something, and then we go to erase it, and then our template is gone. That is bad. Very important that we add a new layer, make sure we're drawing in that. And then make sure we had actually selected the brush. And then you just go ahead and draw. This line is too thick. I don't like it. I'm going to hit undo. And I'm going to bring my size down to, let's say 13, see if that looks good. Now it's kind of too small. Bump it up a little bit. So let's say I really do want that line to be straight. I held it down at the end. She doesn't just make it straight. That's one of the few things I will allow myself to cheat on, because it is really much harder to do a straight line in Procreate than it is to do one in Henna. So you can't straight a Procreate line. And then you just go on in and draw. Do your design, take your time.
Can we do
Now,
symmetry in this one or we cannot?
you could, if you wanted to,
Okay.
you could go over to Canvas, drawing guide, turn it on, edit drawing
Okay.
guide, get symmetry. And in this case, I would want to do vertical symmetry.
Okay.
And if I've lined those hands up to be, I'm not positive if I have lined those hands up to be at exactly the same level. No, in fact, I have not. So I didn't consider that anyone would want to do that. And I didn't purposely make these line up so that you could do that. Because what I personally would do is to just draw the whole thing. Let's turn off the drawing guide. Okay, I give up on doing that. I thought I turned off the drawing guide. Sometimes these things will happen. So I turned off the drawing guide, but really what the drawing guide is those lines. What you need to turn off is assisted drawing over here, this thing. And now I'm done. And now when I draw, it will only be on this hand. Again, I give up on doing the nice design to just make the point. I would draw everything on this hand if I really did want to have two identical hands. I would, on my template, I don't even want this hand. I would just erase it. And it would take a minute, but I would erase the whole thing. Let's pretend I did an excellent job of erasing that. But see how I'm not erasing the design I drew over the top, but I do want that to go away too in this case. And then what I would do is I would go, once my design is super good and I love it, I would merge down. I would go to the select tool. I would select a rectangle by dragging from corner to corner of, that didn't quite work as expected. So I hit clear in the bottom right there. The rectangle from here to, you might have to play with that a little, but I have that. I copy paste it. And now on this new layer that's copy pasted, I am going to do this. I'm going to flip it horizontal, and I'm going to drag it to be right next to it. So that accomplishes the same thing. And that is how I personally would do it. If you wanted to set up your hand drawing template so that the two ends are exactly side by side, 100% the same levels, you could do it that way and use the symmetry to draw both at once. I argue that might be more clever than it's worth, but you could. So let's see. I feel like I didn't ever draw you a nice design start to finish, but I trust that you would be able to do that. You know, you're artist. You can make things look pretty. Just practice. Practice with the tool and get a nice flow to your line. And one thing that is something that matters that we didn't discuss as you are like practicing with your tool is just making sure that when you're starting a new section, the line starts nicely. Like you wouldn't want to, I held that down too long. But if you, I'm having a hard time even doing it by accident now, but I used to do say that where this overlaps in a not great way. You know, just be simple with it and practice. It's gonna come down to practice, practice, practice. I guess now we'll just do open question and answer time where you guys can ask questions over you can ask questions over voice. And I will also turn my video back on and say hello. So do you have other questions?
If you want to add text to something, how do you do that?
Good question. That's the screen sharing. All right, 3, 2, 1. All right. And okay, so we have this really beautiful drawing and what we want to do. It's been a minute. It's been a minute since I wanted to add any text, but I think we go to add and then add text. So then, yeah, you've got the text, you use your keyboard.
I only see your picture.
Oh, not great. Okay. Okay, there we go. It won't let me exit the Zoom screen, so I can't get back to Procreate right now. There we are. Oh, you Procreate? Yes.
Yeah, I see it now.
So since you didn't see me do that before, so under this add, this menu button, under add, one of the things is add text. So if you point with your finger at the text, usually that's the way to get the, so to get the actual, let's do that again, because I actually struggled to get the editor up. So go to add text. And what I had to do before, interesting, I'm gonna start a new layer so I can recreate how that was annoying. Add text, no, it's just coming up, but you might have to hit a little keyboard icon or something that looks like your pencil but has letters written over it in your bottom left or center bottom of your screen. But then once you have done that, I'm trying to write header over text, but you can type whatever you want, adjust the size, adjust the styling, and then you move it with pinching just like anything else. And oh, you can put 2 fingers down instead of 1 finger to have slightly different behaviors for how you're moving things around. But let's not do that right now. So I don't love adding text in Procreate. I don't find it super intuitive and great. But if you wanted to,
Like say for like a watermark or something.
yeah, so you can edit the attribute in here and pick which font you want, change that around. I don't use this tool hardly at all because I find it annoying. If I want it text in an image, I will personally draw the thing in Procreate and then put it on Photoshop on my computer and add text, because that is how annoying I find adding text in Procreate. And I can't show you everything about how this menu works because I do not enjoy it. But you can poke around and you can get it to be functional for you to make a watermark. One thing that would be important if you're making a watermark is just right here, this background color. It by default is white, but if you make it be nothing, that is now a transparent image. So all that stuff I was saying about, where is it? Where
How do you
is
make it? How do you make it be nothing instead of white?
So that is what I was working on. The way you have it be nothing instead of white is in your layers, background color, just that check mark
Mhm.
makes it be nothing if
Oh,
you uncheck.
okay.
So if you've been drawing in black like me, it's gonna look like not a lot of contrast, but it's there. If I were doing a watermark, I would want it to be white most of the time. I don't know. So it's important to change the color of the layer you're actually looking at. So I would probably do white on nothing. If I had a white background, it would just go away. But this is white on transparent. And then when I go back to my gallery and I go to select, and I select that, when I share it, I'm going to pick PNG so that the transparency of the background is there. And that is how you make your watermark.
Okay. Cool.
Other questions? You have like 3 minutes. Now to share. I told you everything you could possibly want to know about Procreate, but couldn't possibly absorb in the hour and a half. If you did absorb it, good job. But is there anything that you want to see again? Because like you don't actually want to review the whole class before you dive in and try something. Is there something that you just want to see again?
If you have to make a logo, what do you suggest we should save it, like to JPEG or PNG?
I would suggest, okay, let's pretend we're making a logo. That's what we're doing now. So we're going to start plus. For a logo, I mean, I'm always just going to pick high res, and I prefer high res wide because that's how I like to hold my screen. But so okay, we're doing a logo. Start high res wide. We're going to make a new layer. It actually already did for us. Great. You just draw your logo however you're going to draw it. So here, draw whatever actually good logo you're going to make. Perhaps you use the text tool and write Henna Biz. And you play around with all of the tools. You make this look how you actually want it to look. It's great now. You've spent hours. What you're going to do is get rid of the background color. And then go to gallery. Or that didn't work. That was good. Settings. Go to gallery. Select. Choose the thing you just drew. Go to share. And if you are using it as a watermark, pick PNG. And if you are using it as just your logo to be printed somewhere, then maybe before that you want to leave the background white. Maybe you put the background back. and then select, pick the thing, share, and you probably do JPEG. If you're just trying to like make an image that you can stick, say, in your profile image, then you pick JPEG and have an actual background color. The other thing that I just realized is important, and this is a do as I say, not as I do kind of thing. See how everything is untitled artwork, basically? Or when it's an actual project that I know is important, I usually will give it an actual name. We've got Rosie the Privateer, we've got Monique Tattoo, Inner and Outer, Man Back of Hand Template, etc. But like little doodles that I didn't care about or didn't finish tend to say untitled artwork. But if you do like a thing, you just touch on the words X out of the select screen and show on the regular gallery screen, and then you can type it on the keyboard and say like file name. And now it has a name. And hit done, and now it's called file name in your list of things, so that if you did share it to Google Drive or whatever, now it has something that you can actually search for so that you can actually find this file again. And when you're looking for all of your mandalas or all of your bridal drawings or whatever, hopefully you come up with some naming convention so that all your bridal drawings have the word bridal in them, or all your festival drawings have the word fest in them or something, so you can find your stuff. That about does it. I'm happy to go over a little if you guys had more questions. Are there any other questions?
Do we need to adjust the brush, your brush at all to make it smoother, or is it perfectly set the way it is?
I mean, it is perfectly set for the way I want it to be. I think that it's perfect, but you can play around with this brush or any brush by going to brush. And then you have all of these choices, some of which are very fun. But let's look at the, where's the inking brushes? Yeah, inking is generally the closest to a henna tone. So all of these are going to be closest. But where were we? Recent henna tone official. Just touch it and it will come up. You can change all sorts of things that you want about it. These are all different things you can change about it. One thing that's interesting is the pole will just change like how it all of these just change slightly how it interacts to your pressure, your touch, the speed at which you're drawing, all sorts of things. But what's the most useful if you don't like my henna brush, like you can go in and tweak these. It depends on how you draw with henna, I guess. But this is the most accurate representation that I could come up with for how it feels and draws in my hand.
Okay, perfect. So it's perfect. It's the way it is. I just want to make sure I didn't need to have to go in and do anything with it.
I mean, is anything ever perfect? But it's the way I want it, and the way that I use it. Like, I gave you exactly my tool that I made to be the way I want it.
All right, I appreciate that.
Of course. Yeah. So this is a lot to take in. I get that. I'm going to save the video and make it so that everyone who was here, who I did do the, I guess everyone who was here, can access it, especially if you did the donation by PayPal or Venmo. as the original announcement suggested you might. If you didn't do that yet, that my PayPal is info@hennabyheather.com, or Venmo is Henna by Heather. If you thought this was useful and you got something out of it, that would be cool to show your appreciation and make me keep teaching things in this kind of way. I actually do have a question for you. Are there other things that you would find useful to learn in this way? I'm going to stop the video and we're just going to go into chit-chatting mode now. Anyone can leave if they want, but I'm just going to have my iPad cropped up so I don't have to hold it anymore. And there we are. So yeah, are there other classes that you want that would be helpful to you about henna stuff, business stuff, anything that you think I might know? Oh crap, I can't hear you. I don't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Sorry, I have newborn puppies in the background and they are just crying and
Aww.
whining. So I try to keep it on mute. I personally would love to see, like, because I've purchased your henna products, like your mixing and coning and just, you know, what you do as far as getting nice fluid lines and the perfect consistency for the cones.
Okay, sure. I could just say, I will absolutely do that for you, and I gladly will. I also already did, and it's on YouTube, so you can just have it for free.
Yes,
It's
I've watched it on YouTube, but I still feel like I need some practice in getting it perfect.
Okay, yeah, there's definitely like a higher level to the mixology and like how exactly to cut the cone to make sure it's not accidentally crooked and like little weird things.
And it sticks to the side of the cone instead of going where it's supposed to go. Absolutely.
We can do that. Yeah, absolutely. So yes, like mixology 102 we could do. Yeah, absolutely. Well, good. That's good for me to know that, like, yeah, there's a need for a little more than that because you can't learn everything in a 5-minute video or whatever. Great. Yeah, we'll do that.
Awesome.
I was actually going to make the same suggestion or ask the same question. So
Yeah.
great.
All right. Okay, sure. You can do that. Absolutely. Yeah, I think the other thing that I think might be helpful that you can't get out of like a YouTube is everybody just get together and draw the same things. Like I actually, instead of doodling garbage, like henna, like I and many people will do in like a workshop kind of thing, very slowly, very carefully, actually draw the things out exactly how I would. And you could be like, well, wait, how did you do exactly that? I can't make my cone do that thing you just did. Please slow down, show us, explain, like, how is your pressure actually shifting, etc. Basically, the way we would do it, the way we did it, like at every henna gathering, towards the end of them, where we would like get small groups, where we just look at like the same, we try to draw stuff out and ask questions about the actual drawing of different elements. I think that would be cool. I don't see you. I don't know if I should hear you.
I just want to say I always get the henna powder from you in a bunch, like in kilos, and they're just awesome. I just wanted to mention that.
Oh, thanks. I'm glad. I'm actually, hold on one second. I'm going to do my, there, I just connected my little headphones. So now my friend Stephanie can actually hear you because she couldn't hear any of you. So it was a little weird. So yeah. Oh, it's echoing.
So that's great because I was looking to buy some product from someone. But do you ship to Canada?
I do, yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay, perfect.
Just allow a little extra time, but like you wouldn't want to order like days before you need it, but yeah, happily.
Yeah, but I mean the powder, if I just wanted to buy the powder and mix it myself, you would ship it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, I just get the powder from her. I just get it in and a kilo. So it comes in
Yep.
like 100-gram package, and then I store it as I need it. And the color is amazing.
Which one do you
Okay, I'm
use?
gonna order some.
I always get Mohana.
Yeah, how do we say that? I switch back and forth between Mohana, which is what I was taught how I should say it, and Mohana, which is like Americanized. a
Yeah.
lot. So, but yeah, what that henna is I try every powder that I can get my hands on basically and test them all in any given crop year. And then whatever one is the best, I buy a bunch. Like it has to have that right balance between like creamy and stringiness and also really good color and also really good sip. So whatever has that and is the best and is the one I would want to use is the one that I call Mohana.
And that powder is just amazing. I have used and bought so many stuff all over the place, but since last, I think year and a half, I'm just stuck to your powder. I don't get it from anybody else.
I appreciate that. That's nice to know. I feel like I should have made a special little coupon code. I was not thinking ahead of coupon code that I could give to this class so that you could buy supplies. But let's say I will make it be it will be pro class. That will be the coupon code for like Procreate class, pro class, and I'll make that be 10% off everything. That's at artisticadornment.com, which if anyone didn't know, that's my supply website. But you can also just get to it if you went to hennabyheather.com, click supplies at the top of the page and it's there too. So thank you guys for doing like my advertising for me that I was gonna not even do. Thanks.
I just bought the Procreate henna cone set. Do you know how long it's going to take to download, or should it be on my Procreate already?
So you already downloaded it?
I haven't downloaded it. I just bought it just now.
So if you go back to the very beginning of this, I think that hopefully I explained well, but I'll just re-explain. So you buy it and then there's a download the order confirmation page, and then from the order confirmation page you look at your items and it says download file. So it's an option there. And if you're on your iPad and you download it, it just opens in Procreate and it's automatically imported and it's super easy and great.
Brilliant. Okay.
Yeah, it was like 2 clicks and it was there.
Okay. So I'll just go to the order confirmation, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right. If there are no other questions, we can call it a day. I'll give you another like 2 minutes in case you've been shy and want to ask something. But otherwise, thanks for coming to class. I hope you learned a lot, and I'll share the recording soon. It takes a little bit to process, but I will do that.
About the coupon code,
Yes.
when should I use it? Like in next?
How long do you want to use it? I can set it for like.
I have to get the henna powder from you, and I see that you have the new crop like 2021. So I was about to buy that. So I was just trying to see when can I use it.
You're like trying to buy it right now, but you can't because I didn't make it live because I just said
yes, that's what.
So like within the hour, like as soon as we hang up, I'll do that.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much.
All right, thanks, Heather. I
Thanks,
appreciate it.
Heather.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.